It started with a lie. A stupid, impulsive, survival-driven lie. Emily stood at the entrance of her ex's engagement party, teeth clenched, hands trembling. She hadn't meant to actually show up. But after 3 glasses of cheap wine and an even cheaper pep talk from her roommate, she found herself in heels that hated her and a dress that hugged all the wrong places. Then came the mistake. She told everyone she was happily dating someone, not just anyone, a handsome, successful, deeply in love boyfriend who adored her. Problem was, he didn't exist, yet here she was, facing her smug ex, his glowing fiancé, and the carefully curated crowd of judgmental old friends. There was no turning back, and she was about to crash hard until someone caught her, literally a man's arm wrapped around her waist as she tripped on the edge of the marble floor. His voice slid in smoothly behind her. "Sorry I'm late, babe. Traffic." Her eyes shot up. She didn't know him, but God, did she want to thank him? He smiled at her like they were deeply in love. "You okay?" he whispered. She blinked. "Who?" "I'm here to save you," he whispered through the side of his mouth. "Just roll with it." And like that, the lie had a heartbeat. He introduced himself to the crowd as Ethan, her boyfriend. Her ex's eyes narrowed. His fiancé looked annoyed. Emily didn't care. For the first time that night, she felt like she was winning. Ethan played the role too well. Charming, attentive, whispering ridiculous inside jokes only the two of them could understand. Holding her hand like he'd done it 100 times. The charade was dangerously convincing. When the crowd thinned and they found a quiet corner with stale hors d'oeuvres and watery champagne, she finally asked, "Why did you help me?" He grinned. "You looked like you were drowning in there. I've been there. Besides, I figured if you were brave enough to lie to this crowd, the least I could do is back you up. You saved me from social suicide," she murmured, a half-laugh escaping. "I owe you." He leaned in, conspiratorial. "Then how about a deal?" Emily raised an eyebrow. "I need a +1 to my sister's wedding next weekend," he said. "Family's obsessed with the idea I can't keep a girlfriend. You play mine, I'll keep being yours. A fake relationship. Perfect on paper. Safe. Temporary. No strings." She extended her hand. "Deal." But the second their fingers touched, something flickered. Warm. Dangerous. Too real. He held her gaze a second longer than necessary, then smirked, letting go. "Let's make them all jealous." That night, as they parted ways, he walked her to her car, held her door open, and kissed her on the cheek. It was supposed to be fake. So why did her skin burn long after he was gone? She told herself it was just adrenaline, just relief, just pretend. But when she opened her phone later, there was a text from him. "Ethan, you were brilliant tonight. Can't wait for our first fake date." She smiled at the screen. Her heart shouldn't have fluttered, but it did. And that was the problem. Emily didn't realize how fast fake could start to feel real until she met Ethan's family. The wedding was 3 hours out of the city, in a vineyard straight out of a fairy tale. Rolling hills, string lights, and the kind of floral arrangements that made her feel underdressed the moment they arrived. Ethan squeezed her hand as they stepped into the reception tent. "Just smile. Be confident. They'll love you." She tried, but she wasn't prepared for the warmth of his mother's hug. or how his dad insisted on dancing with her before dinner, or how Ethan's niece climbed into her lap like they'd known each other forever. Everyone believed it. Everyone but one. Sabrina, Ethan's older sister, was watching her from across the table like a hawk sizing up prey. "So," Sabrina finally asked, swirling her wine, "how did you two meet?" Emily hesitated. She and Ethan had only rehearsed the basics. But before she could speak, Ethan jumped in. "She spilled coffee on my shirt outside a bookstore," he said, smiling at her like it was the sweetest memory. "Instead of apologizing, she offered me a coffee to make up for it. I hated coffee. Still drank the whole thing." "Wow," Emily added, catching on. "And you still called me after that." Ethan's voice dropped an octave. "Didn't want to risk never seeing you again." The table sighed in collective adoration, except Sabrina. She kept sipping. Later, when Emily excused herself to breathe, she found Sabrina already outside. "You're not in love with him," Sabrina said without turning. Emily stiffened. "Excuse me? I know my brother. And I know a lie when I see one." Sabrina finally faced her, arms crossed. "You're good. I'll give you that. But whatever this is, it's not going to last." Emily swallowed. "We're happy," Sabrina smirked. "That's not what he looks like when he's happy. It's what he looks like when he's trying not to fall." The words hit harder than they should have. Emily returned inside, her pulse louder than the music. Ethan was laughing with his cousins, drink in hand, eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on her. He smiled, genuinely, and her heart skipped. Later that night, they escaped to a quiet corner under the stars, away from all the pretending. "You okay?" he asked. "Sabrina doesn't like me," she replied softly. "She doesn't like anyone," he joked, then grew serious. "What did she say?" Emily hesitated. "That this isn't real." Ethan didn't laugh. He just looked at her. "Is it?" she whispered. He stepped closer. "I don't know. Maybe it started as fake. But right now, it feels like something else." Her breath caught. He leaned in. His forehead rested against hers. "Tell me to stop." She didn't. He kissed her soft, slow, and so heartbreakingly gentle that her knees nearly gave out. It wasn't fire. It wasn't desperation. It was the kind of kiss that asked a question and left no answers. When they finally pulled apart, he stared at her like he was trying to memorize her. Then he whispered, "Good night, Emily," and walked away, leaving her standing in the dark, lips tingling, heart pounding. She touched her mouth, still stunned. This wasn't part of the plan. But she was falling, and she was scared he already had. Emily had finally started to believe in the lie because the way Ethan looked at her, touched her, kissed her, it didn't feel fake anymore. So when her phone buzzed the next morning and his name lit up the screen, her stomach dropped. "Can we talk?" Zach, her ex. The reason this whole charade started. She stared at the message too long. Then, against her better judgment, replied, "Meet me at the cafe. 1 hour." She didn't tell Ethan. The cafe was half full, mostly students, with earbuds and old couples sharing pastries. Zach was already there, seated at their old corner table like no time had passed. Still smug, still gorgeous, still poison. He smiled. "Didn't think you'd actually come." "I have 10 minutes, she said, sitting stiffly. He leaned forward. "You look Different. Thanks. Confident. Like someone in love. Her pulse skipped. I saw you at the party, he said, voice cool. With your new boyfriend. She folded her arms. What about it? Just found it strange. The guy didn't know your favorite wine, or how you like your coffee, or that you hate jazz music. Emily blinked. He leaned closer. Is he even real? The heat in her face gave her away. Zach grinned. Thought so. What do you want? He paused, then said, Look, I made mistakes. We both did. But maybe we were good together. Better than this lie. She laughed once. Bitter. You cheated on me, Zach. I panicked. It didn't mean anything. You were always the real thing. Emily stood to leave. No, you just hate that I moved on without you. But then Zach played his final card. Does your fake boyfriend know you're falling for him? He asked. Because if he doesn't, you're about to get your heart broken. She froze. Then walked out. The rain hit her hard outside, icy and sharp, but she barely noticed. Her heart was hammering. Her world was cracking. Back at her apartment, she found Ethan sitting on her porch steps, soaked from the same storm. He stood. When he saw her, Hey, I was just about to leave. She blinked. What are you doing here? I was nearby. He lied, then confessed. Okay, I wasn't. I missed you. Her eyes softened. You came here to say that? He stepped closer. No, I came to ask if you want to stop pretending. She stared at him. Breath stuck in her chest. I mean it, I don't care if this started as a game. I don't care if we faked every word. None of it feels fake anymore. Not to me. She should have said something. Anything. But all she could do was nod. And then he kissed her. Again. Harder this time. Hungrier. Like he wasn't asking anymore. And she kissed him back like she'd been waiting forever. But just as things heated, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Zach, I know your secret. You should tell him before. I do. She pulled away, shaken. Ethan frowned. What is it? Emily tried to smile. Nothing. Just cold. But her heart was in single quotes. It was burning with a new fear. She had told one lie to protect herself. Now she had everything to lose if the truth came out. Ethan kissed her like she was his future. But all Emily could feel was the weight of her past pressing against her ribs. Zach's message sat like poison in her pocket. I know your secret. You should tell him before I do. She hadn't told Ethan the full truth. Not about why she brought him to that party. Not about the fact that Zach, her ex, was the one who broke her, then dared her to show she'd moved on. And Ethan had started to believe in them. Worse. So had she. But lies don't stay buried. The next morning, Ethan brought her coffee, same as always. You didn't answer last night. Everything okay? Emily nodded too quickly, just tired. He studied her. You've been quiet since the wedding. She smiled, forced, just thinking about us. A pause. Her throat tightened. I meant it, Emily. He said softly, all of it. But if I'm the only one feeling this, just tell me now. I can handle the truth. What I can't handle is guessing. Her lips parted, but the words wouldn't come. So she kissed him instead. Desperate, apologetic, terrified. That night, she met Zach one last time at his request, a dim bar. Loud music. Too much tension. You lied to him, Zach said the second she sat. And I have no reason to keep that secret anymore. Emily met his gaze, defiant. Then, why haven't you? Zach leaned back. Because part of me still cares. And part of me wants to watch it burn. You don't get to decide who I love. He laughed once. You think this is love? She stood to leave, but his next words froze her mid-step. I'll give you 24 hours. Either you tell him the truth, or I will. Back home, Ethan was waiting. He didn't smile this time. You were with him. It wasn't a question. She opened her mouth, but what came out wasn't enough. I didn't plan any of this, she whispered. At the party, I lied. I panicked. I told people I had someone because I couldn't stand Zach thinking I was still broken. Ethan's face didn't change. You just showed up and saved me. And I never meant to drag you into it. Double quotes silence. He turned away, jaw clenched. So I was just a body, a prop in your little revenge tour. No, it stopped being fake. A long time ago. You, Ethan. His voice cracked. You could have told me. I was scared, she said. Scared that if I told the truth, you'd stop looking at me like that. He looked at her now, but not like before. This time, it hurt. I need space, he said, stepping back, before I can figure out if any of this meant anything. And just like that, he was gone. The door shut. And Emily collapsed to the floor, breathless. The lie had started everything. And now, it might have ended the one thing she never thought she'd want, something real. 2 weeks. That's how long it had been since Ethan walked out of her apartment and out of her life. 2 weeks of silence. 2 weeks of heartbreak. Emily went through the motions like a ghost. Her phone never lit up with his name. No texts. No random drop-ins. No jokes about fake anniversaries. Just nothing. She thought about calling, about apologizing again, about begging, even. But she knew if it wasn't real now, it never had been. And then came the worst part. A wedding invitation. Sabrina. It was addressed to Ethan and guest. She sat with it for hours before finally texting him. Emily, I'm going. Not because of her, but because I need to stop hiding. I never should have lied, but I never faked loving you. No response. Still, she showed up. Alone. The vineyard hadn't changed, but she had. Every step across the gravel path felt heavier, like she was walking through everything they built, only to bury it. Guests arrived in pairs. Couples smiled. She kept to herself until a whisper. Looks like your boyfriend ditched you. She turned to find Zach, drink in hand, smirk still intact. Emily didn't flinch. He's not my boyfriend. Guess the truth came out. She smiled. Not fake. Not shaky. Strong. Double quotes. Yeah, it did. And I still loved him anyway. Zach raised a brow, surprised. Then he stepped aside, and someone behind him stepped forward. Ethan. Hair slightly messy, tie loosened, eyes tired but locked on her like nothing else in the world existed. You didn't tell me there was a dress code for heartbreak, he said softly. Her breath caught. He walked closer. I read your message 100 times. Didn't know what to say. She swallowed. So you came to say nothing. I came to say everything, he murmured. You lied. Yeah, but I didn't walk away because of that. Then why? Because I was falling. And I didn't want to be the only one. Her voice cracked. You weren't. He stepped even closer. You weren't the only one scared, Emily. But I'm done being scared. She touched his hand. So am I. And he kissed her there, in front of everyone. Real, raw, no pretending. When they pulled apart, he whispered against her lips, we faked a beginning, but this is the real thing. And for the first time in forever, Emily didn't feel like she had something to prove. Because what started as a lie had become the one truth that mattered. She had fallen, and this time, she wasn't alone.